look, I admit, when I put promotions together, they don't always turn out so well. So, memo to self, I want Mark Davis to be the new head of all my promotional
activities. You know who the magic is through that piece of glass right there. Rhonda coordinated all of this.
Absolutely.
Look for people, hey, on the text line, got $1,000, come do lunch with Mark and Mike, and we had takers within 10 minutes. It was
in 10 minutes, it sold out. Now, here's the thing about this group of people. I almost got emotional at the end of the lunch when you and I were taking pictures with them, and I said, Mark, isn't this an incredibly special group of people? And you said to me, of course it is. It's our audience. You're so right. I think of all the years that I do the Alaska cruises and the Israel trips and the Mark and Mike events in Grapevine and the things that we get to do when we get to press the flesh. These wonderful, patriotic, God-fearing, freedom-loving people are our audience. That's who we are. And you said that, and it hit me like a ton of bricks yesterday. I was thinking about this. Our audience is so unique and so special and so different from any other audience out there. Not to knock people who listen to country music, not to knock people who like rock and roll, not to like people who like classical or like to listen to the history of the tsetse fly over on NPR. I mean people who are news talk aficionados, who are plugged in, who are aware, who are largely right of center. They love border security and rule of law, and they are largely Trump folks and conservatives and rock-ribbed Americans. Mark, it was one of the most delightful experiences I've had in years. So thank you, Rhonda, and thank you, Mark, and thank you to these lovely people, including the lady who drove all the way from Waco.
Yes, Kim interrupted her career in event planning to come up and spend time with us, but I have a story elsewhere on the table. First of all, George, our transplanted New Yorker, who sat
Love George. I sat next to George. Yeah.
His plan, as we were, it's funny. I decided I'd get there at about 1:45, and everybody was there before noon. These folks are like mega punctual, so I was glad I was there. And you were moments behind that.
Well, I was only moments behind that because it only takes 3 hours to get off the Gaylord property. The Uber only takes 2 hours and 37 minutes to drive from the door to the. Okay, so
correct.
That's why I was a little late.
We've established exactly right. So George said, "Hey, here's what I'm going to do. When Mike gets here, I'm going to tell him that I figured out by calling up restaurants and seeing who has a round table. I figured out who it was, and I crashed the party. I said, go ahead and do it. They were humorous. They were funny. They were glorious. Great. So here's the thing before we get to stuff going on in the news. So there we are. We meet everybody. It's fantastic. It's great. And that was a moment when I looked at them and we said, isn't this great? But generally speaking, any 8 people that we could have picked would have been emblematic of the kind of wonderful folks that listen to us, and we're just so grateful. And we're always thinking of you. We're in rooms with screens and our coworkers, but we're always thinking of all of you, and that gave us a moment for that. But here's the thing. You ready?
Yeah.
What would you say would be the likelihood of me running into anybody who is at that lunch somewhere else 7 hours later?
7? Well, either they're stalking you or you're stalking them.
Nope. We live close together.
What?
Yep. Kent and Melinda live pretty close to us, and we actually talked about a restaurant. We were still talking about area restaurants.
Right.
And so Lisa and I were on the patio at one of those area restaurants, and Lisa said, is that the couple that and I said, how would you know?
How would
you
Lisa
recognize
know?
them visually? Exactly. Well, we had talked about it. She saw Melinda. Melinda saw her, saw like the back of my head. Before you know it, they pop out on the patio, and it was Kent and Melinda. And I said, are you guys? And the reason we were there is because we had kind of put it in my head. I was kind of in the mood. It was Mexican, so I'm always in the mood. And so, and I said to Kent, are you guys here because we talked about it? I said, no, we're just here all the time. And it was shocking that we had never run into them, and the odds are that we would, and so we did. And but their daughter and her 2 kids, after we ate, we were about 30 minutes ahead of them. We just sat around and shot the bull with them.
Nice.
Just incredible. What a blessing to meet these people.
It sure was. Isn't it funny how you can run into people? Years and years ago, there was a guy named Frank Raphael. You may remember him from ABC. He was an executive with ABC.
He gave me my first little national weekend show on
Right.
ABC circa 1996.
So Frank had a summer home in Saratoga Springs, New York. When I worked in Albany at WGY, he heard me, and when he knew there was an opening at what was then the biggest talk station in America, WABC, he recommended me to Phil Boyce and Mitch Dolan and the crew there, and that's what. So I often think about Frank, because if it were not for his recommendation, I may not have had the path that I've had. Well, let me tell you something. I ran into Frank over the next 10 years probably a dozen times on the streets of New York. Think about that. It was creepy. In Manhattan, I would run into him on 6th Avenue, 7th Avenue, 8th Avenue, and there was Frank. And it was like, well, hey, Frank. And he's saying, and finally at one point I said, am I stalking you or are you stalking me? So it's kind of weird how that kind of stuff happens. All right. Well, anyhow, thanks again. Great day. Here we go. Day 2 of the NRB here at the beautiful Gaylord. I follow an account on X called Whale Psychiatrist. And everybody,
I did not have that on my bingo card when I woke up this morning.
Everybody should follow Whale Psychiatrist because Whale Psychiatrist, whoever it is, puts a daily compilation of what the Trump administration has accomplished today. Okay? And every night, when I settle in, I tend to look at Whale Psychiatrist. The list from just yesterday. From just yesterday. The White House is now determining who will be part of the White House press corps rather than the White House the White House Correspondents Association. The meltdown from the fake news media is glorious. State Department tightens visa restrictions on Cuba. Doug Collins finds $2 billion of waste from the VA. Trump DOJ arrests and charges multiple members of an extensive illegal alien smuggling operation. The Washington Times reports that Kash Patel is investigating Comey's FBI's infiltration of Trump's campaign in 2016. There's a deal with Zelensky on mineral rights, but Trump says they're still negotiating. Trump revokes security clearances for employees at law firms who worked with that vicious Jack Smith. Trump signs an executive order to restore transparency pricing on health care. He signs an executive order to protect the U.S. copper industry. Speaker Johnson wrangles the cats and gets the House version of the budget passed after they said he wasn't going to get the House version of the budget passed. That was just yesterday. Just yesterday. And I'm sure I'm leaving 10 things out.
Precisely right. I've just discovered Whale Psychiatrist, who also lends some pithy commentary. The New York Times has a Michelle Goldberg piece. The headline is, Trump's new deputy FBI director has it out for the, quote, scumbag commie libs. Of course, a Dan Bongino quote.
Right.
And somebody posted that and said, you voted for this. And there's Whale Psychiatrist in all caps. Yes, I did.
Yes, I did. It's a great account to follow, and if not for just the daily compilation of all the things that are happening every day, I got to ask you a question. I know you and I are somewhat reluctant to pull the curtain back and talk about other media folks, and we got our own skillets to fry over here, but I have to talk about Rachel Maddow and MSNBC.
Yeah.
Now they fired Joy Reid and a whole bunch of others, and there's a big shakeup there. Rachel Maddow spent about 10 minutes ripping her employer for being racist.
Call him racist, yeah.
Now, I have to ask you a question. She's making $20 million a year to do a Monday night show. She only does one night a week. She's going back to one night a week.
Does the show still bear her name? Is it like Rachel fill-in people for Tuesday?
I don't know how that. I don't watch them.
Spend a lot of time watching.
I'd rather listen to the history of the Tsetse Fly, but then watch MSNBC. But seriously, how does Comcast, NBC, the parent company, allow her to get away with that? If you and I decided to go on a rant for 10 minutes and rip Salem and say, have some axe to grind, and we would tear into our bosses as being a bunch of filthy racists who hate black women, it's wrong to fire Saint Joy. I mean, like she's some kind of pillar of virtue. Why? How do people like Rachel Maddow get away with what they get away with?
There's only one. It involves mind reading, which I know nobody can do, but you sort of project and think what the motivation might be, and that is it might actually, in a way, since MSNBC decided to can Joy Reid, that in a weird reverse psychology way, it helps their brand to allow the white woman to go on a race-tinged rant about Joy's dismissal, thus earning for the network some sort of sideways
brownie points.
Cred, brownie point. So there you go. That's my clumsy attempt at it.
That's not clumsy. That could, because honestly, I've been pulling my hair out. I'd fire her yesterday. I'd call her in and say, "Okay, Rachel, you know what? Or by the way, Rachel, if you're so livid about it, quit in solidarity. Why don't you walk off? You don't want to forfeit your $20 million. Who would
take our dirty money?
Yeah, we don't want to burden you, Rachel, with the $20 million we're paying you for one night a week. I mean, look, maybe I'm just jealous of her. I got to hand it to her that she's figured something out. And I am so relieved today, Mark. I learned that scientists have finally given the all clear to Earth from that newly discovered asteroid. Asteroid 2024 YR4.
It was as high as a 3% chance of striking some part of the Earth in what year?
I don't know. What, 2032? Or 2032. But let me tell you something. This is my unnatural, irrational fear. Do you have an irrational fear of anything? Is there something in your life like snakes? A phobia?
But listen, snakes aren't a phobia. Snake
no,
can
not
kill
really.
You.
Yeah, I know. Snakes are scary anyway.
Is an irrational fear. I don't know. I'll work on it and get back to you.
Well,
what is your irrational fear?
An asteroid hit. I can visualize turning on the news or coming into work and hearing that an asteroid is headed for Florida.
It's several movies.
It's
headed for St. Petersburg. It's Mike's address.
right on the bay. It's going to hit Tampa Bay and it's going to obliterate. But I can see it. I can feel it.
I hear you. We've read stories.
It keeps me up at night. I mean, I think about it all the time.
One of two things is true. Because when I was sitting there thinking of the 3% chance of the asteroid hitting the Earth, that means there's a 97% chance that it doesn't. So it's like you just shouldn't worry, right? It's 3 out of 100. It's infinitesimal. But I'm going to hand you a bowl of M&Ms. 100 M&Ms. 3 of them are poison, will kill you if you eat them. You gonna eat out of the bowl of M&Ms?
Never in a million years.
Because my stupid luck, I'd get the poison M&M. So
right.
that 3 out of 100 is either a ridiculously infinitesimal, doesn't matter, or it's something to really keep you up at night. So
what keeps me up at night, I travel a lot. I can hop on an airplane.
Yeah.
You can't. If an asteroid's going to wipe out half the planet, where are you going to go?
Well, Elon Musk
Australia. Where you go to the other side?
We'll all live on Mars.
But according to Aaron in Southlake, incidentally, on the final text for the day.
Yes.
Trump saved us from the asteroid. MAGA.
There you go. It's Trump.
It was Trump. Trump did it. Another
big
day.
Beautiful asteroid. It's going to go hit some other planet.
Are you tired of winning yet?
I am not. I'd never get tired of winning. Never get tired of you either, buddy.
Love
so
you.
Great to see
you. All right.
You.
Thanks again for yesterday. It was wonderful.
You betcha.
Appreciate
Mike, ready to go from the Gaylord today for a Wednesday, right as soon as we're done, 10 a.m. right here on 660 a.m. The Answer. Mark Davis right back.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.